Welcome to Raptors Recon, and today we're going to talk about Mark Hamill's ambivalence to return for episode 9. Say it isn't so. But anyway, I'm going to go into the article here. It's called Star Wars Mark Hamill Explains Why He Doesn't Care About Returning as Luke, written by Alex Gilyadov. It goes, Mark Hamill doesn't care anymore about returning to Star Wars and reprising his role as Luke Skywalker. In an interview with ABC News via Cinema Blend, Hamill revealed losing Carrie Fisher, who passed away in 2016 at age 60, has ruined any enjoyment he had of ever returning to the franchise. Also, not having Harrison Ford play Han Solo in future Star Wars movies has also tarnished Hamill's desire of coming back. It really has tarnished my ability to enjoy it to its fullest, Hamill said, speaking about the loss of Fisher and returning to Star Wars. You were asking earlier, are you going to come back? I don't care anymore on that level because Han Solo is gone, Luke is gone. You just can't get the band back together the way you wanted it to be, and it shouldn't be that way. It is what it is. Rather than being sorry that we can't have more of her, I'm just grateful that we had the time with her that we did. However, despite Hamill's recent comments, he recently voiced Luke for the Star Wars Forces of Destiny animated series. The veteran actor also recently shared with IGN his desire to make a Star Wars horror movie about Force ghosts. While you ponder if Hamill will ever return as Luke in a live-action Star Wars film, read what he has to say about George Lucas's banded ending for Star Wars Episode 9. Comparing this sentiment with what Mark Hamill had said previously on BBC, where they were pretty much convinced that we haven't seen the last of Luke Skywalker. This is where, they quoted Mark Hamill as saying, I refuse to believe that he's gone, in reference to Luke Skywalker. And Hamill continued, my theory is that he just teleported to somewhere else and left his robe behind. He teleported to a nudist colony. That's what I'm hoping. And then it went on to say that while the last line was surely a bit of a joke, it's certainly plausible that Luke is now one with the Force and will return as a Force ghost like Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Anakin. So, just two different, presentations of Mark Hamill's attitude, and I think it's kind of interesting to think about. I'm curious to see what you guys think as far as why this is, but I'd like to give you my 2 cents. I think that Mark Hamill has finally had it. I guess he's finally had it with how his character was treated, and it's not just that. I mean, it's one thing. Mark Hamill is a professional. He's treated Rian Johnson, J.J. Abrams, and everybody he interacts with respect. Okay. I've met him before in Europe. He's a really nice guy, real down to earth. He takes time to talk to you as a normal human being. He cares about you. Great person to interact with. Excellent for the fans. Now, I'm not discounting the impact of Carrie Fisher's death. I mean, that I am sure has a lot to do with it, but I think it goes a step further. I think if you take a look at what happened, what has been happening, I mean, you look at the interviews, okay, post The Last Jedi, and you see Mark Hamill's face, okay? There is pain in his face, okay? There's pain at seeing what has happened to his character. Something that he poured his entire life into. And that was his own. I mean, granted, he was the actor, but he made it his own. So you see that. And then he gave us fans little snippets and tidbits, and in a very, I don't want to say politically correct, but in a very professional manner, he voiced his opinion about how he did not like the direction of where this was going. So that, that all factors into it. And then you go to that South by Southwest panel where he's sitting there and a fan kind of asks, because there's a lot of there's a lot of consternation. There's a lot of uproar from fans, and it's not these so quote unquote fanboys. Let me tell you, a fanboy is to me is somebody who goes and says they're going to go see this a movie that they don't like multiple times to make sure that they don't like it. Okay, to me that's a fanboy, or where you blindly accept anything that's presented to you without even thinking about it critically in any manner, way, shape, or form. But I digress. Anyway, there's a lot of people who have problems with what happened. And Mark Hamill had problems with what happened. And on that panel, he was asked about what he could change. And how was he regarded? Basically, Ryan Johnson turned to him and said, basically, in so many words, yeah, I'd like to hear this MF. I mean, who says that? I haven't done a video on that one, but let me tell you, I don't care who you are, but nobody calls you an MF in public. I mean, even if you are friends and you are tight, I don't know about where you guys come from. We all come from different walks of life, but none of my friends would call me an MFer, especially not in a public forum with fans, media coverage. That is just unprofessional and disrespectful. I mean, to the nth degree. So I think you have a situation here, and this is my personal opinion, you have a situation here where, yes, we had a tragedy, okay, with Carrie Fisher's death, and that was huge. But I think for the fans, Mark Hamill, he has the integrity to come up to continue. However, with the constant pressure I think he's getting, to say how much he loved The Last Jedi and how great it was and how wonderful the direction was for this character that he does not agree with, and then to not only see that, you see that one set of videos where you see Luke Skywalker's face is X'd out in the middle of Lucasfilms there, in the hallway facing outward. I mean, you get called names by the director in public and basically humiliated, because that's humiliating. It's not funny. That's humiliating. And he's probably trying to fight the good fight and say, here's some ideas, here's the thing. I mean, this guy, look, Mark Hamill knew what George Lucas wanted to do in multiple iterations. And he knew he was going to die, but he probably was going to have a heroic death in episode 9. That's what that was all about. It wasn't going to be, we're just going to kill him and make him look like a hermit. And not even a hermit, even worse than that, a recluse that doesn't care about anyone but himself, or is basically self-destructive. To hell with the fact that his sister was in trouble and all his friends, or his best friend just died, etc., etc. That didn't matter. He didn't want to do anything. And then in the end, he helped, doing what he can do, and then faded away. Anyway, I don't want to turn this one into a rant, but I think that Mark Hamill has basically reached his breaking point dealing with some of the powers that be currently at Lucasfilm right now. And I think some of the power players like Ryan Johnson and whatnot have really soured his taste. I mean, it's one thing you have a tragedy occur. It's another thing to be disrespected by the people who you work with when you have shown them nothing but respect, professionalism, and have given your all. And this is what you get in return, while knowing that the fans support you and you can't even be completely honest with them. So I think all of that has weighed in on him. Do I think he would still come back? Yes. Do I want him to come back? 100 times yes. If you saw my first video, you better believe it. But personally, I think he's probably reached his threshold right now with dealing with other folks in the organization who are bashing fans, who are dragging him through the mud, who are trying to make him look like an idiot, you know, I think he's kind of reached his breaking point. I'd love to hear what you have to say about what we talked about today. So leave your comments below, and if you enjoyed it, hit like and subscribe. May the force be with you.